Good morning, all. I'd like to start off with saying thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and let's get this poppin'. I've been thinking a lot about hesitation, and I was speaking on this on my Facebook yesterday about how distraction, hesitation stops you from your life. The fact that being human, we are not designed to do things that are uncomfortable or scary or difficult. We see it as a risk. Our brains are designed to protect us from those things because we're trying to stay alive. And in order to do anything, to go to work, be a parent, be a good spouse, to do all those things you want to do with your life and work with your dreams, you have to do the things that are difficult or uncertain or downright scary, which sets up a ginormous problem for all of us. You're not going to feel like doing it, period. And for me, one of the hardest things to figure out was, why is it so hard to do the little things that would improve my life? And you come to realize that our minds are designed to stop you at all costs from doing anything that might hurt you. And the way that this all happens is it starts with something like super subtle and you never catch. And it's like this habit that we all have that nobody talks about. And it is this habit of hesitation. So, say you're sitting with a bunch of people, or you're like in a work meeting and you get this incredible idea, and instead of just like saying it, you stop, you hesitate, and then you realize that when you hesitate for that moment, it sends a stress signal to your brain. It wakes your brain up, and then your brain is all like, wait a minute, why am I hesitating? Why am I hesitating? Now you're hesitating to say something, so something must be up. It's seen as a risk. Then your brain directly goes into trying to protect you. It's like this spotlight effect where your brain magnifies the risk for you to pull away from anything that it perceives to be a problem. And you can literally contribute every single problem or complaint in your life to silence or hesitation. Those are decisions. Realizing that every single day that you are not going to feel like doing these things that are tough or difficult, that are scary or daunting or just taxing. So you need to stop waiting until you feel like it, because you're never gonna feel like it. You are truly one decision away from a totally different life, a different job, a different income, a different relationship. You know, you could be having a conversation with your significant other and you feel your emotions rise up and you get this tiny window. These emotions take over and it can severely impact how your relationship goes. Or you can learn to take control of that micro moment and make a decision to act in a way that actually fits your life, what you actually want. And it comes down to that decision. If you change your decisions, you will change everything. Like in the full scheme of life, hitting the snooze button, you know, it's not going to be a big deal for one day. You do that every day. Where do you end up? If you don't wake up, and then when you know, if you wake up, you're not going to think, today is the day I destroy my life. And what we do, we check out because it feels overwhelming. We check out because we're afraid, or we check out because we start listening to our self-doubt. We start making these teeny tiny decisions. We don't realize it. To not get up on time is a decision. A decision to snap at your kids, to not speak up, to not look for that job, to not deal with your finances, to not call your parents. Like whatever it is all day long, these tiny decisions take you so far off track. And you wake up and you look at your life and you're like, how the hell did I get here? And more importantly, how do I get back over there? And you have no idea. And then you get so trapped that you can't figure out how to fix it. How do you find the power that's within you? How do you discover your greatness? How do you solve these freaking problems? And it feels so overwhelming when you start to think about it. Like, you know what to do. That's the thing, you know what to do. But you can't seem to make yourself do it, right? I mean, every one of us is like a freaking Google search away from a list of instructions that if you follow any of them, it changes your life, right? But how do you get out of your head and start thinking about what you need to do and actually do it? Like, when I get like super emotional, I shut down, I don't want to talk to nobody, I don't want to see anybody, and then you get stuck in that. You start isolating yourself. So what do? Pick up the phone and call somebody. Look for that job. Get out and go for a walk. Like, all these little things that you're fully capable of. But you can't get out of here. And if you're stuck, that's the problem. The problem is you're in your head. You're thinking when you set goals, when you have an intention on something that you want to change about your life, your brain helps you. What does it do? It opens up a checklist. And then your brain goes to work trying to remind you of that intention you set. You wanted to change your life, and I think most of us are miserable or just like dying to be great. Dying to have more, to have change. We want a better life. We want to create more for ourselves. We want to be happier. And then the desire is there again. It's about how do you go from knowledge to action. So first, the important thing to realize is the answer is always within you. There's years. It would take me hours to get out of bed. I was exhausted. No matter how much I slept or how little, I was in pain. I was unmotivated. I was depressed. And then I realized, I had to go to work. I had to do this. And I would just shut down. And end up not doing anything, and then cause all these excuses, and then you're 20 minutes late to work, and then it's a snowball effect. Every indecision causes a bigger problem, and you realize you got about 5 seconds until your brain talks you out of something. And I talked about this with my best friend a few months ago. Like you literally have 5 seconds. So the days I really needed to do something and I couldn't, I would count down out loud. I would just freaking pretend I was a rocket ship. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then stand up. Do the thing you need to do. Say the thing you need to say. And there are moments like this all day long where I knew knowledge of what I could or should do. And if I didn't move in those 5 seconds, my brain would step in and talk me out of it. And I feel like everybody has this 5-second window where you move from idea to, action before your brain kicks in and sabotages any change in behavior. Because remember, your brain is wired to stop you from doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. It's your job to learn how to move from those ideas that could change everything. When you understand the power of a 5-second decision, and you understand that you always have a choice to go from autopilot to decision maker, everything in your life will change. You will be different. You will be unstoppable. Everything comes down to the decisions that you make. You know how to make yourself do it. You cannot smart your own brain. We all know this. We can all refrain ourselves. If we're put into an emergency situation, you know how to jump in. You can direct yourself in ways. If it's important to you, biggest thing, if it's important to you, you will do it. So there's something really remarkable when you count down from 5. What you're actually doing is interrupting, that habit loop. That's just these loop of patterns in your frontal lobe where we make all of our decisions right here. That's the part of your brain where your feelings, your emotions, every habit you have, which is nothing more than behavior that you repeat that you don't even think of. Like, I started doing this and I became this completely different person over the last few years. And so when you interrupt what's going on in here, that's, just like spinning without you, and it moves, and you awaken your mind. So when you hit that habit and you interrupt it, and you interrupt that self-doubt, and you interrupt, snapping off at someone, you interrupt the desire to, eat that food, interrupt procrastination. You've now made that counting backwards an action. And then when you hit 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's a prompt. It starts becoming a ritual that triggers you to act with confidence. That this is a moment for courage to shift gears. And because you're doing the manual work of awakening that part of your brain to change, you've set yourself up for success. And no, it does not work if you count upwards, because counting down doesn't require focus. If you count backwards, like, it's mindless. Because you could just continue keep counting up and up and up and up and up, and then you're just gonna sit there and count, which is defeats the purpose. So when you start using this method, and it's literally, like, you think about it, it's used everywhere, like robotic, like, the military, get, to align people, get them to exercise. The biggest thing is elementary school. Like, I'd do this to my kids when they're acting bad, and I'd count down, and then all of a sudden they'd just be like, ugh. Because it requires you to focus. It's not a habit, it's the prompt that will become a habit. The prompt you to assert your control. You have to become the kind of person that moves from thinking about something to actually doing it. And we all have this problem. Like, believe me, I am the biggest procrastinator. Because, like, I want to do things the right way. And if I feel that if I can't do it with my all, I just won't do it at all. And so I started learning how to just, like, half-ass stuff. Like, if the house is a freaking mess, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so overwhelming. Like, I'd start with the surface level stuff that will show improvement on the big picture, because I'm very, like, detail minded. And then, like, once you start going, you start shifting into, okay, and then you keep going. It's a snowball effect. We're all flawed, and that's the beauty of who you are. And instead of trying to make yourself perfect in every area, it's so much easier to accept the things you're terrible at, or your weaknesses, or your wiring. Because the truth is, you're never gonna feel ready to make these changes. You're never going to feel like doing them. But you can always make a decision that's in your control. Staying in a job you hate is a decision. In a body you're not proud of That's a bunch of micro decisions. Eat better, exercise, you know. Use the 5-second rule to force yourself to do that stuff. Especially with this new year. Everybody's on their resolutions. Try it. I mean, seriously, what do you have to lose? 5 seconds of your thought process that you're already thinking about anyways. Change comes down to decisions. And this is why that 5-second rule is important for everybody to know. It is up to you to push yourself. Doesn't matter who you are. We will all struggle with self-doubt. Everybody that you admire, you know what those people do? They push through the habit of hesitation.